Yes guys, Aaron here. Welcome back for another Body Club session. Today we're going to be doing my top 5 drills to help you level up your squats. Okay? You can use this as a warm-up for a lower body workout, or you can use it as its own separate session to give you some top tips and tricks to help you really level up your squats. Okay? So we've got 5 drills. We're going to use the yoga blocks. And for a couple of the exercises, we can maybe add in dumbbells as well. That's not essential, but the extra bit of load helps you really get a little bit deeper stretch into some of those muscles. First, we're going to be looking at ankle mobility, a really important component for squatting. So we're going to use the block, and we're going to stand on the block, and we're going to come into a bent knee position because we need a little bit of knee flexion, because when we're squatting we're in knee flexion, and we're looking at ankle dorsiflexion range of motion here. So I am pushing my heel down through the floor whilst bending my knee over my second and third toe, and then I'm going to lift and I'm going to lower. You'll notice I'm using the wall for a little bit of stability. You could use a chair and you just lift and lower there, lift and lower. You want to do about 10 reps of this, okay? Lift and lower. If you're feeling brave then, you want a little bit more stretch and a little bit more load through it, then 10 reps with some weight to load, bear down a little bit more. Lift, whoop, try not to fall over, lower, lift, lower, lift and lower. Okay, the extra weight will just provide that extra little bit of stretch. Let's come across to the other side. Ball of the left foot onto the block, hold onto the wall, bend the knee, lift and lower, lift and lower. So this will also help strengthen the calves, increase your capacity for your ankle dorsiflexion range of motion. Really trying to drop that heel below the block. Lifting it as high as you can. 2 to go. You feel a good burn in your calf as well. And the last one, come down, deep, and release. Okay? Then we're going to take a static hold. So we go again, ball of the foot on the block. This time your heel drops, you bend your knee as far as you can, you drop your heel as much as you can, and you hold. And this will really help open up and stretch out through your ankles, an essential component for your ability to squat nice and low, nice and deep. Great stuff. And then let's come through to the other side, ball of the foot on the block. Balance, bend the knee, drop the heel, and hold. Getting a really nice stretch through the Achilles tendon, through your soleus. Good, and release. Okay, second exercise. We're going to come into some hip openers. We're going to use blocks. So hopefully you've got some yoga blocks. You could also use parallettes. If not, you could even stack up some books if you wanted to here, okay? So your foot comes just in front of those blocks, and you've got quite a nice deep lunge with your hips facing forwards, and we're going to take hands onto the blocks, bending into that front knee, sink down through the hips, lift the head and drop. Opening up through those hip flexors. So here we're stretching and opening the hip flexors. We want a little bit of a squeeze through the glutes on that back leg to stabilize the pelvis. And then we're going to push back and we're going to straighten that front leg. And we're pulling the toes off the floor, and here we're trying to push this knee downward. Okay? And then we come forward, lifting through the head and the chest, open up through the shoulders, and then exhale, push back, straightening that front knee. So the blocks are nice and upright. Here, if you want more of a challenge, you can flip them and bring them a bit lower. But then what you might find is you start to end up if you find that you're rounding a lot through your back here to get into that stretch, a little bit of flexion is okay, but the main thing we're thinking about is pushing your tailbone back and stretching into the hamstrings. We'll come to have a look at that on the other side. All right, through. You got 10 of these, 2 to go. Up and back, up and back. Yeah? I'm going to switch that to the other side. Flip the blocks upright. Lunge through the blocks. Nice deep lunge. Bend that front knee. Now it's okay for your knee to go over your toes there. In fact, probably even a slightly good thing, just to help to carry on from where we were working before into that ankle dorsiflexion range of motion. So we're bending this. We're going to push the heel to the floor and sink the hips. And this is where you'll be able to see a little bit more stretching through the back. So imagine someone's going to almost give you a wedgie, pulling the back of your shorts or your leggings, and you're pulling back here to help increase that stretch through the hamstrings. Yeah? And then we rock forward, we lift the head and the chest, and again, sink nice and deep into the hips. Active, squeezing through the glutes on the rear leg. Okay? And again, exhale through, inhale. And 10 of these, nice and fluid. Really pushing that front heel downward into the floor, pushing that right hip back behind you to straighten. 3 to go. One more. Great stuff, good. We're now going to come to a lateral deadlift. This is going to help open out through our adductors and internal rotators. So we're going to come into a lateral deadlift. Notice the width, I'm about 2 shoulders width apart. This is going to really help to open up through the groin. Another important area when we come down to squatting. Okay, so I'm going to come down into that right leg. I'm going to reach my left hand down towards the floor to touch the floor and back and across the other side, down. Now there's a few pointers here. It's easy to cheat. It's easy to feel like you're doing the exercise, but actually what you're doing is rounding to touch the floor, yeah? So we want to really make sure that check out the back, nice and neutral through the pelvis, flex through the knee, weight pushes into the heel, and then you can rotate a little bit to reach the floor, okay? Here. If you can't come all the way to the floor, don't worry. You can always have a block, and you could touch the block instead, all right? If you know you're tight in through the groin, through those adductors. Make it harder, increase the stretch. Again, using weights, resistance training is really good for improving mobility because we increase the ability, we increase the stretch through the muscle under load. So that actually creates more stability in the joints as well, and provides extra stretch loading through. So you see here, I can add a weight in to increase that range through. One more pointer to make sure, a little bit slippery on the floor here. I'm going down through the tailbone. I'm not arched in the back. I want to get those glutes supporting my movement. Chest up, head up. Okay, excellent. Lateral deadlift. 2 to go. Number 4, simple, squat to block. From here, I stack the blocks up into a T shape. Now you might find you need 1, you might find you need 2 blocks, or you could even use a chair. It's all dependent on your range of motion available around the hips and around the ankles and also through your thoracic spine, okay? So we take a stance that's about shoulder width, and it's up to you how much turnout you want. It's worth practicing at various angles to be able to determine what's the best turnout for you. We all have very different structural positions in our hips, so we all require slightly different angles and we all have slightly different natural ranges. So work within your own body. The more you practice, the more you'll get an understanding for it. So we're going down to the block whilst maintaining a nice neutral position in your spine here, okay? What I want to avoid as I come down, if I get to here and I'm tight, what will happen is I will tuck under, all right? And this is a position I want to avoid. It's called a butt wink, where your hips tuck under like that and back up. Especially if you've got a bar or you're loading your squats and you're tucking your hips under, you're putting a lot of compression through those vertebrae in your lower back. So really important to keep that. So it might just be that you come to here, all right? And all we're trying to do is we're trying to work and develop that range whilst holding a neutral. I've warmed up a little bit with those other exercises, so I might be able to just have the height of one block, come down and hopefully be able to maintain that nice neutral position all the way to the bottom without getting that butt wink. Okay. As I say, probably want a bit of a turnout. If you look at, imagine standing on a clock face, 10 and 2 or 11 and 1, somewhere between those angles will usually set you all right, okay? And then finally, we're going to go through some thoracic mobility. So this is from here, our ability to extend and lengthen up through the upper back, our thoracic spine. And especially if you're doing barbell back squats, really important to keep that nice and extended, nice and open through that upper back. So from here, you come down to squat, to the blocks where we were before, just about get there. And then we're going to reach one arm up and one arm down. And lift the chest, look up. And what we're looking for here is the chest lifts and rotates. And we look up through the fingertips and come back and through. Nice little pop there. Up, breathe in. Open, really reach up through the hand and back. As I say, you might want to do this on a chair, or you can stack 2 blocks up and you can come down and you can do it from here. If you're a little bit tighter, it's better to have a little bit more lift. All right, and you want about 10 of those as well. Inhaling to open, exhaling back to the top, and then up, standing, yeah? So 10 reps of each, go through that circuit, use that as a warm-up, and then whatever type of squats or lower body exercises that you've got, then you're going to be in a really nice position to hit really nice, good, solid, deep squats with nice open hips and a nice open spine. Also really good exercises to practice day to day, so it might even be in the middle of your work day. And these exercises will help to really open out your hips and create really good stability around the pelvis and around the spine, okay? So hopefully you find that useful, guys. Thanks a lot for joining, and I will catch you next time.